I have great respect for our chair and for all the members of this committee. I know they're very concerned about the environment and public health, and I know the chair offers this substitute in good faith in an effort to balance competing arguments that we've heard passionately over many months. To me, though, this really just comes down to the fact that we have a very clear responsibility to protect public health, especially kids, from unnecessary exposure to pesticides, which the EPA says pose a great risk to our drinking water, to the environment, as well as to public health. There are competing, let me address a few things that have been said. There are competing studies on every environmental health matter I've ever seen. We are rarely able to have to meet such a high standard as a causal connection, the way it's defined in law. We heard this for years on tobacco. We are still debating whether there is climate change. The primary refrain on climate change from the presidential candidates we saw last night is that many of them say, we are not scientists, so we cannot act on climate change. We cannot afford, I believe, to take that same attitude locally toward pesticides. The great weight of scientific evidence is that they are dangerous and they are a threat to public health and the environment. So while none of us are scientists, we should listen to the scientists that we have. I don't understand how anyone can say we're following the precautionary principle and not take action when there's such great weight on the side of the original bill. It's been said that we need more education on this topic, and everyone supports efforts to educate the public about the dangers of pesticides. But we already have educational requirements in county law that are poorly implemented and ineffective. Some would argue, well, we just need to make them effective. We welcome more educational materials and programs on this topic, but to me that's not a substitute for action when people are at risk every day. Frankly, information about the dangers of pesticides is widely available. A highly informed population like that in Montgomery County doesn't need the council as their primary source of information on public health matters. They need us to take action to protect the public. And the correspondence that we've received from constituents on this matter is overwhelmingly in favor of the original bill, and to me that it makes that clear that people are not seeking more education, they're seeking more action from their elected officials. We know pesticides are known carcinogens. It's unacceptable to me that so many of our public, but especially our county's children and people with certain health conditions are needlessly exposed to these chemicals at our public parks and at their homes and neighborhoods. In addition, when our parks and fields and stream areas are sprayed with pesticides by our own county government, it takes an enormous toll on our environment and undermines the many good measures we've taken at the state and county level to protect our watershed. We also, I don't believe, can wait for the federal government to take action, as has been recommended to us by many people. The federal government's regulatory resources are far too limited, their processes are far too lengthy and complicated, and too often they're far too close to the industries that they're charged with regulating. My district is filled with federal employees from the EPA, from the FDA, from the CPSC, where I used to work, and other agencies who have urged me on many matters to take state or local action because they've given up on their own agency's ability to take action to protect the public health. They have neglected the Chesapeake Bay for years. They set goals decades ago that all lakes and rivers need to be fishable and swimmable, and they've pretty much abandoned those goals or postponed them, and they haven't taken action on the greatest environmental threat many people see, which is climate change. Particularly in the area of environmental health, they haven't taken action in one area after another. They didn't keep us safe from tobacco, they didn't keep lead out of our toys, so we took action at the state level and at the local level in the case of tobacco. They didn't keep BPA out of our plastics, so we took state action. They didn't keep mercury out of our thermostats and thermometers and scrap cars, so we took action at the state level as well. I believe pesticides fits in that same long, lengthy list of things where the federal government hasn't taken action and the state or the county government needs to. That's been our tradition, especially in Montgomery County. So I support the intent of Councilmember Leventhal's original legislation. We've heard hours of testimony, and I'm eager to move this debate forward in a way that I think keeps us as close to the original bill as possible. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.